Is the title of this channel a little misleading? No, not really. I am a poor man audiophile, but the delivery of the music, though it's part of it, an important part of it, ultimately, it's the music itself that I am passionate about and want to share and have discussions about. And I'll explain a little bit more here in a second. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate you watching. And I wanted to share a little bit of my life experience and why I'm passionate and why I built this and why I'm all about the music. I grew up in a household that didn't have a stereo system. We didn't have a stereo system in the house. Dad had an 8-track tape player in the 69 Nova that we drove across country. And we listened to Johnny Cash most of the time because that's the only 8-track we had. I mentioned that in the first intro video of my channel. But I wasn't surrounded by stereo equipment. We just didn't have it. I had a friend in middle school whose dad was into it. I remember going to his house when his dad first bought a reel-to-reel. That was my first introduction to, I guess, high fidelity. So I didn't really grow up around stereo equipment. And I didn't have any older brothers or sisters that had it. I was an only child. So I developed my love of music organically. It started with the Johnny Cash, listening to Dad's Johnny Cash on that road trip. And then it flourished. I remember having a little drum kit as a child and playing along to One Tin Soldier, the song from Billy Jack, the movie. And then I ended up, I remember having the 45 to C.W. McCall Convoy. And I really dug that song, the CB culture. I really dug it. And then I remember hearing Bad Bad Leroy Brown by Jim Croce for the first time, and they used a bad word in it. Man, I was flabbergasted. So that was my beginning of starting to learn about music. And then one day on the radio, I heard Hot Blooded by Foreigner. At the time, my dad was building a studio for a local radio station in Anaheim, California, KEZY AM, rock station on AM. And I helped him do some work. And the DJ, Dave Foreman, I believe was his name, he asked me if I wanted anything for helping. And I said, yeah, I want that Foreigner Double Vision album. And he gave it to me. So that started off kind of my record collection. And then I discovered Led Zeppelin. And then I was all in. And then I heard that pouring rain and the thunder and that augmented G note on the opening of Black Sabbath. And I became a metalhead. I was a metalhead in the 80s. From Sabbath, I discovered Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. From there, I went to Venom and Slayer and early Metallica. And that was my wheelhouse. Earlier video, I talked about the best album by Def Leppard. And I said, I wasn't a huge Def Leppard fan. Man, when Def Leppard was out, I was listening to a lot heavier stuff. But I still liked good rock and roll. That's why I liked that High and Dry album. But eventually, our tastes change as we get older. And I started getting more into equipment and audio stuff and started paying more attention to who produced, who engineered. I was always a Pink Floyd fan, but then I really dug into, Alan Parsons producing engineering of Dark Side of the Moon. And then I found Steely Dan and some of the recordings that they had and really got into some of that stuff. So I kind of became a pseudo audiophile, but it's always about the music and what the music speaks to me and what it says about me. And I just always focused on that. As a child, I had a regular record player. I didn't have nothing fancy to listen to my stuff. I bring a new record home And I'd try to record it onto a cassette, and then I would listen to it in my car. That's all I ever did. I didn't really have a serious stereo system until I bought the Fisher that I mentioned, that I financed when I was like 17 years old. And still, I'd come home, record the records onto a cassette, and then that's what I would listen to in my car. So it's never about the delivery of the music and what I used to deliver it. It was always about the music. And then streaming came in. I never got much into streaming. Then Napster hit, and I kind of delved into, oh, maybe I'll download some stuff. And I never really grasped onto that either. And I went decades not listening to any records or any. Every once in a while, I'd buy a CD if my car had a CD player, but I had no a stereo set up until my friend gave me that Marantz, and then I started collecting. But the purpose of getting the vintage audio, it wasn't vintage audio equipment when I bought it. It was just old stuff nobody wanted anymore. I wanted to get rid of. And I needed a way to listen to my music. And that's why I find old equipment. It used to be easy, but now everybody's getting into it. So it's getting a little more difficult, a little more expensive. But I got what I got. And I just wanted to say I enjoy good equipment, but I enjoy the music even more. And it's a way to deliver the music to my ears. I have a friend that's got probably a $30,000-$40,000 system at his house, and I've gone there and I've listened to it. It's amazing, but I can't afford that. And this sounds amazing to me. Maybe not that amazing, but not 1,000 times better, because that's what it would cost me to do that. So I just wanted to put that out there. I want to share what I think, like the Def Leppard video, what I think's the best record of a certain band. What do you think's the best record of a certain band is when I bring up the subject? And I also want to mention, and I want your comments down below. To me, music is a timestamp. It's a timestamp in our lives. I mentioned the One Tin Soldier song. I think of that song. I hear that song. I think of living in a single wide trailer in the Sierra Mobile Home Park in Santa Ana, California, in the early 70s, playing that little toy drum set to that song. It brings me back to that era. I think about the Convoy, a little 45 I have of C.W. McCall, and taking it to school one day, and they put it on as record day, and the girls didn't want to hear it. Wouldn't even let it play all the way through. They took it off. And I remember that. I remember being there very disappointed I didn't get to listen to my favorite song. The Foreigner album and Hot Blooded. My dad died at a young age. I was young when he passed away. Brings me back to him building that studio at that radio station and me helping him. It's a timestamp. And another one is Scorpions Blackout. Reminds me of the 1972 Dodge Dart. I blasted that album out on cassette because I'd recorded it onto cassette. Had house speakers in the back seat, and that just brings me back to that time, driving down to the beach, cranking Blackout in that 72 Dodge Dart. So please comment down below. Give me some songs and some timestamps you have in your life. I love to hear them. Music's a great thing, and it's a great unifier. And I just wanted to share that. So I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. Click that notification, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.